The CHDO set-aside is not about saying that you must develop all of your housing in a low-income neighborhood.
Right.
It's about saying that we're providing housing to low-income people. And so if you could be a CHDO that's serving almost exclusively a relatively high-income area, but you're trying to provide, you're sort of working against the forces of gentrification. Now, if your service area doesn't have low-income neighborhoods within it, when we talk about that board issue, you're going to have a hard time finding people from your service area who live in a low-income neighborhood, but you can still find people who live in that area who themselves are low-income.
Right.
Okay? And then here, we're not talking about your history has to be within a low-income neighborhood per se, but it's a history of serving low-income populations. It also doesn't have to be a housing history necessarily, right? So let's say that you're a community action agency and you're now moving into doing housing, because not all CAP agencies have historically, actually most of them have done weatherization, but now they're moving into development in one way or another. It could be that they say, hey, look, how do we have a history of serving the community? Well, we've got, we run Head Start, we've got a food program, we have a tax preparation program, those sorts of things that give us a feel for the needs of the low-income community. I'm sure your organization has a lot of different services that you've provided that may not be housing related, but this is about getting a feel for the sort of broad needs of the low-income folks in your community. Okay? Does that get at your question? Great. Okay. Now, the one exception to this is that if the CHDO or the prospective CHDO has been created or sort of spun off from another nonprofit, right, then particularly things like churches, service organizations, neighborhood organizations, CAP agencies, right, sometimes some habitat chapters, instead of themselves becoming a CHDO, will create a related party CHDO. Okay? In that case, where the parent organization is a nonprofit, then the prospective CHDO can sort of borrow from its parent's history of serving the community. Couldn't do it if it was a CHDO that was created by a for-profit or by a governmental entity. But if it's created by a nonprofit, the parent organization's history can be counted towards that one-year history.